Hello, welcome to another episode of the Built to Be Human podcast, brought to you by Intelligent Plants Apothecary. I'm your host and guide, Liam Gallagher. So today, as I said last week, I'm going to talk about some herbs that can benefit you if you're dealing with anxiety and stress issues. Um, Herbs are fantastic. The reason why I like herbs so much is typically there's really no side effects. There's typically no downside to taking them. So some of my favorite herbs for anxiety and stress issues are, let's see, Kava, Valerian root, chamomile, catnip, lemon balm, passion flower, ashwagandha. There's actually a tremendous amount that'll help. And if you get into essential oils, there's even more. But I'm probably just going to focus on these handful that I've already mentioned. Kava is one of my favorites. I've used Kava extensively over the years. Kava is kind of expensive at this point because it hasn't been, it's getting harder and harder to come by. I've literally looked for a way to purchase a Kava plant for probably the last 20 years, and I've never really found one for sale anywhere. But Kava is great. It's really considered a central nervous system relaxer. It's very strong. As far as herbs go, it's on the stronger side. What I've read about it and my experience with it is it actually binds to the same receptors as a benzo, but it does not slow your reaction time down. It doesn't cloud your judgment, and it's not addictive. So all of those things are positives and benefits, especially when you compare them side by side with a benzodiazepine. Um, Valerian is another wonderful, relaxing herb. It's more of a neuromuscular, so peripheral nervous system, and helps relax muscles and that sort of thing. Valerian is great. It's got a really wide range as far as dosing size. You could literally take as little as a half a teaspoon and as much as close to a tablespoon at a time. Um, what I like about Valerian over Kava's kind of heavy. If you have a low tolerance for sedatives or for herbs, Kava might be a bit strong for you. Whereas Valerian, it tends to, especially with the huge range of dosage, if you've got daytime anxiety and you're looking for something to kind of clip that anxiety throughout the day, Valerian is a great choice because it's calming, but it's not overpowering. And a lot of times what I've had people do in the past, and what I've even done in the past, is I'll take a small dose throughout the day if I'm dealing with consistent chronic stress and anxiety, just kind of clip the wings. I'm able to completely function. It doesn't get me to the point of being drowsy or sleepy. But then again, at night, if I'm really wanting help with, say, I'm dealing with insomnia or I'm just not falling asleep real well, I can take a lot larger of a dose of the valerian than I would throughout the day, and it will actually help me calm enough to sleep. Chamomile is another great one throughout the day. It's on the mild side as far as relaxing nervines are concerned, but it's got a great flavor to it, and it's got a whole lot of other benefits as well as being calming. It helps with digestion. It helps with a whole bunch of things. It's actually included in a lot of nighttime tea blends as well. Lemon balm is another fairly mild nervine relaxant. Um, it's again another one that's good throughout the day. It's probably not going to benefit you so much if you're really having trouble sleeping, just because it's not very strong. It's not a hypnotic or anything like that. It just really helps you relax and kind of be in a better energy space, a little calmer of a frame of mind. Catnip is another one. I know that most of us associate catnips with cats and them going crazy, but it actually, humans can benefit from it as well. For a long time, I've made a tea blend that I've called Anxiety Tea, and it is designed for use throughout the day. And it's a combination of lemon balm, catnip, uh, chamomile, and a small amount of valerian root. And the reason why I've designed it with those particular herbs, including the catnip, is all of those are very mild. They kind of work a little bit differently in the body from each other. So it's a bit of it's a fairly comprehensive blend, but it's very much on the mild side. It's not going to make you drowsy. It's not going to cause you to sit there and yawn. It's not going to make you feel like you can't move or anything like that. It's actually somewhat of an uplifting blend. It kind of, not only does it kind of calm a person, but it also helps them stay more focused. It kind of helps them be a little bit more positive, a little bit more upbeat, because the heaviness of the stress and anxiety is going to be lessened with it. Now, of course, everybody's experience is going to be slightly different. The way you respond to a particular herb is going to vary slightly from the way I respond to it. But generally speaking, the herbs that I've mentioned are phenomenal for stress and anxiety. And most people, as a matter of fact, I've never met a person that hasn't done well with all the herbs that I've already mentioned. Another herb that I tend to use quite a bit is ashwagandha. It's what's known as an adaptogen. And the benefit of an adaptogen is the way it tends to work is that it helps the body and therefore the mind adapt. It helps it in stressful situations. Especially ashwagandha has a bit of a reputation for bringing somebody back to center in the long term. Ashwagandha is also good for sleep issues. And it's just a very good overall calming, relaxing herb. So there's a whole laundry list of them. I could go on and on and on for days. Two other herbs that I will talk about: oat straw and skullcap. Oat straw is considered the most nutritive herb for the nervous system that we're aware of in the Western world, and skullcap tones the nervous system. So in a lot of ways, if you take your oat straw and your skullcap, it's really, in my mind, I kind of associate it with, taking your pre-workout and then going to the gym and exercising. You've got that boost of energy to go and get your workout in, and then you get your workout in and you're toning your body. So in my mind, when we're working with the nervous system, if I'm taking oat straw, I'm giving my nervous system the raw materials it needs to repair itself, to function more effectively, more efficiently. And then I'm giving it something to kind of tone the system as well, kind of like toning your muscles. So the combination of the two is really good, especially if you've had chronic long-term stress. I've used that combination extensively. I've used a combination of oat straw and skullcap. I used that, actually, I drank 3 cups of that tea every day for close to 4 years. I had some major nerve problems that I was looking to see what I could do with. And I needed that long-term commitment to really have a chance at remedying my experience. Of course, during that 4 years, I would absolutely add other herbs to that blend, but it always was based on oat straw and skullcap. And then I would add things like chamomile or valerian or kava or lemon balm or passion flower or what have you, just depending on how I was feeling at the moment that I brewed the tea up. Because I was very much looking to support my nervous system with using oat straw and skullcap. But if I was overly stressed on any particular day, I wanted something that was going to be a little more sedating. That's why I would add the kava or the valerian or what have you. So there's plenty of them out there. It's good to, when you're first starting out, it's good to choose 1, maybe 2, up to 3 different herbs to work with. If you're blending them all together in the same tea blend, that's fine. But if you're working with individual herbs, it kind of gives you a better idea of how each individual herb affects you before you start blending them together. Just, if you're mixing 5 and 6 different herbs at a time and you're new to all of this, there's no possible way that you're going to be able to differentiate what each herb is doing for you and how effective it is on its own. So a lot of times I will, depending on what somebody is going through and what they're asking for help with from the herbs, I very much will most of the time I start with an individual herb and kind of go from there and build on it from that. Because if we're just taking things to take things, we're just being consumers and we're not really listening to our bodies and we're not giving our bodies what we need. So I use herbs all the time. I take things daily. I definitely have a routine. But at the same time, the nice thing about herbs as well is if I find myself very highly stressed out, I've had something rotten happen to me during the day or what have you, I don't need 3 days or a week or 2 or 4 weeks of ramping up like you do with some prescription medications. I don't need to take herbs all the time if I don't need them all the time. And honestly, if I do need them at that moment, they're going to work immediately because that's what they're designed for. Our systems are designed to work with them and to utilize the constituents that are contained within the herbs, and we benefit from that tremendously. So quick recap. I'm going to keep this episode on the short side again. Skullcap and oat straw are two of the combination of oat straw and skullcap are my favorite base combination if somebody's dealing with chronic nervous system issues, whether that's anxiety or neuropathy or that sort of thing. I'm a huge fan of Kava and Valerian root. I tend to turn to those first. Being a redhead, it's well known around the world anyhow, maybe not so much in the United States. It's well known around the world that redheads tend to have a higher tolerance for sedatives and a lot of other compounds. On top of that, genetically, I have a high tolerance as well. I think of when my dad blew his back out, it actually took him like 6 pain shots before one of them actually took. So with my tolerance, or the way, I should say not my tolerance, I should say the way my body processes these compounds and these substances, I tend to need something stronger than most people, which is why I've relied so heavily on things like Kava and Valerian root. Now, a lot of the people that I've talked with over the years, I have friends that, passion flower or even chamomile is really strong for them. And I've even had a couple of people, and these are kind of rare, but I've had a couple of people where we've had to lower their dosage because even something that I've considered mild, and I've had other people tell me was mild on the mild side for them, it's not for the individual taking it. So yes, herbs are beneficial to everybody, but that does not mean that everybody's going to need to take it in the same dosage and in the same way. So hope this helps. The other thing I like to do for anxiety and stress, I've mentioned it a handful of times before. I'm barefoot pretty much everywhere I go. I stand outside on the grass or some natural surface for at least 10 minutes every day to get that grounding effect. It also helps with free radicals in the body. The earth is negatively charged, and because most free radicals in our body are positively charged, that energy exchange actually helps us to offload a lot of those free radicals. I'm huge on emotional freedom technique. You can find a free copy of the EFT manual by Gary Craig. You can find it for free on archive.org. It's a great read. Basically, it states that modern psychiatry tends to teach that the trauma is stored in the memory bank, whereas EFT disagrees with this and states that it's stored in the energy field, which to me makes more sense. EFT is based on the meridian system of acupuncture, and it is a matter of a specific way of focusing on the issue that you've struggled with, and then tapping on specific meridian endpoints to help release that negative energy that you've had stored in your energy field for a long time. So I'm huge on both of those. I do meditate some. I definitely am more of the mindset of using meditation to kind of revamp how your thought process works. It's really a means of learning how to start or taking the first few steps in reclaiming how your brain functions. I find that it's very important that we tell our brains how it's going to function, as opposed to our brains having its way with us and really kind of dictating what our experience is. Because anybody who's been through any sort of trauma will understand, if you allow your brain to tell you and make those decisions for you, it's not going to be fun. The animal brain is very much designed to keep us from repeating negative experiences, and it's very much designed to keep us fitting in. If we've had some trauma in our history and our brain sees a similarity to the situation we're currently in that reminds it of the trauma we've been through, it's going to pirate the ship. It's going to literally attempt to tell us that we are going through that same experience again. And that's not helpful. That's not helpful at all. So using things like the tapping can help. I've been able to help alleviate some of my triggers with the tapping, and then using meditation to kind of clear up the noise that constantly was going on, all the racing thoughts and all of that. So again, not a cure-all, but definitely a tool to help you start to gain a little bit more influence over how you experience things and how you respond to them as well. Of course, for me and for myself, the herbs were a huge part of that. As I've really dealt with people, what I've discovered is just using the herbs alone. Yeah, they help. They help some, absolutely. Just using the EFT, the tapping on its own, helps some, absolutely. Just using meditation and other techniques and grounding and being barefoot outside on the grass, do all of these things work on their own? Yes, they absolutely do. But where I feel like I've definitely made the most progress is when I've combined all of these techniques and I've done them concurrently. It's more comprehensive that way. In my mind, it would be like having a team of doctors, as it were, instead of one doctor that you're relying on for everything. So if we're going to utilize second opinions, if we're going to have a multi-layered approach to what we're dealing with, we're going to have better results than if we just approach it with one thing only, as far as methodology. I know that I've said that, it's a good idea to start with single herbs, and that's very true, especially as you're getting to learn about herbs and as you're figuring out what does what for your body and specifically. That doesn't mean that you only use one herb all the time. It's just a good idea when we're getting started, when we just start using herbs. If we use something by itself, even if it's just one time, we're going to have a much better idea of how it affects us and how it benefits us or does not benefit us than if we're using it always in a blend. So until next week, stay curious, stay proactive, be yourself, and do what you can, because that's all we have. Have a great day.